If you had walked into my house that Tuesday evening, my house where I had lived for 50 years, you would have thought you'd stepped into someone else's life. The woman standing at the kitchen counter wasn't the same woman who once hosted Christmas dinners, who once danced barefoot with her husband on this very hardwood floor. She was just me. A 74-year-old mother holding a lemon knife like it might keep her entire world from collapsing. And then, my daughter-in-law said it. "Maybe it's time you find your own place, Mom." That sentence didn't fall into the room, it detonated. For 30 seconds, everything inside me went unbearably still, like the house itself was holding its breath. I stared at Amanda, at her glossy hair and her perfect Instagram smile, at the way she positioned her iPhone next to the vase of tulips, as if she were the queen of a home she hadn't contributed a single mortgage payment to. Your own place. After 50 years in this one. I heard the sound of something dropping, one of the lemon slices slipping from my fingers and falling to the floor. I watched it land on the wooden planks I refinished the year my son turned 10. Back when he still ran into my arms instead of shrinking behind his laptop whenever life required backbone. Daniel didn't even look up from his MacBook. That was the part that cut the deepest. "Sorry?" I finally asked, though I'd heard her perfectly. My voice sounded too polite for a woman being evicted from her own life. Amanda didn't blink. "I just mean the house is getting cramped. With the boys, Daniel's work calls, my clients, I think you deserve a place that's quieter. Maybe an assisted living community? They have yoga now. And book clubs." She said, assisted living, like she was offering me a spa day at the Ritz-Carlton. I waited for Daniel, my only son, to say something. Anything. He closed his laptop halfway, took a breath, and stabbed my heart with a sentence softer than a whisper. "She didn't mean it in a bad way, Mom. We just want what's easier. For everyone. For everyone. Except me." The timeline of my entire life with him flashed through my mind. Holding him as a newborn in this kitchen, patching his scraped knees, taking 2 buses to Manhattan so he could see the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center, working double shifts so he could finish college without debt. And now he couldn't even lift his eyes long enough to defend me. I set the iced tea on the table, hands shaking just enough that the ice clinked like a warning bell. My grandsons ran in, colliding with my hips so hard I nearly toppled. "Careful," Amanda snapped. "Grandma's not as steady as she used to be." I smiled the way people smile when they're trying not to bleed. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. A text from my neighbor Gloria, the only person on earth who could make aging feel like mischief instead of punishment. Wi-Fi died again. "If I vanish, tell Netflix I died heroically." I smothered a laugh. Daniel didn't notice, he was answering emails at the table. Amanda was arranging the food for another photo. The boys argued over an iPad. And me? I might as well have been one of the chairs. After everyone went to bed, I stayed in the kitchen. The house creaked in the familiar ways it always had. But that night, those creaks felt like goodbyes. I opened my old laptop. The screen lit up slowly, like an elderly friend waking from a nap. On a whim, I typed my street name into Zillow. The number that appeared made me forget how to breathe. My little house, the one Amanda wanted me pushed out of, was now worth over $2 million. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen. Then the words from earlier echoed, "Find your own place." A different thought rose quietly inside me, stronger than shock, stronger than grief. Maybe I will. And maybe it will be somewhere no one expects. Somewhere bright, somewhere warm, somewhere they can't follow me. Somewhere like Monaco. The morning after Amanda told me to find my own place, I woke up in the recliner downstairs, the same spot I'd been sleeping in for months because my knees refused to negotiate with the staircase anymore. The sun filtered through the blinds in thin, accusing lines, as if the house itself was asking why I was still here. I sat up slowly, joints crackling like an old radio searching for a station. When I reached for my slippers, one of them had mysteriously migrated under the bookshelf. I had to use the broom to fish it out. Exactly the sort of glamorous morning routine you'd expect from a 74-year-old woman who supposedly took up too much space. In the kitchen, Amanda was already dressed in her leggings and flawless ponytail, sipping a Starbucks latte she probably ordered through her app the moment her eyes opened. "Morning, Mom," she chirped, far too bright. Did you sleep okay? Like a teenager, I said, barely and with multiple regrets. She didn't laugh. Humor wasn't a language she spoke unless it came with filters and captions. Daniel shuffled in next, hair sticking up, clutching his MacBook like a toddler with a stuffed animal. He gave me a distracted half-hug, the kind people give when they want credit for caring but none of the responsibility. Morning, Mom. We're talking later, right? Of course, I said. I'll pencil it in between my pole dancing class and my audition for The Bachelor. Amanda blinked. Daniel choked on thin air. At least someone appreciated my humor. After breakfast, I stepped outside to get some air. That's when Gloria shuffled out of her house wearing a robe covered in cartoon flamingos and holding a mug that said "World's Most Tired Grandma." "You're up early," she said. "So are you." "I'm old," she sighed. "I pee at 5 a.m. now." "No one tells you that when you buy hair dye." She glanced at me, reading my face the way only someone who has lived long enough to stop pretending can. "What happened?" I told her. Everything. The comment, Daniel's silence, the Zillow number that nearly gave me a second puberty. Gloria didn't gasp dramatically like people do in soap operas. She just nodded, tightened her robe, and said, "Well, we could always burn their towels, but your idea sounds better." "My idea?" "You looked up Monaco, didn't you?" I saw the blue glow from my kitchen window. "I thought you were watching Mamma Mia again." I almost laughed. "I was just curious." "No one searches for Monaco out of curiosity," she said. "You search Monaco when you're done living small." Her words hit me harder than Amanda's had. Done living small. Was that what I'd been doing? Shrinking myself so Daniel wouldn't feel guilty? Making myself quiet so Amanda wouldn't feel crowded? Sleeping downstairs so no one would hear me struggle up the stairs? Maybe I had been living small, but I didn't want to die that way. When I walked back inside, Amanda was rearranging the living room furniture again, her favorite hobby besides judging everyone silently. "I'm thinking of decluttering this space," she said. "Minimalism is very in." She pointed at my old rocking chair, the chair Tom built by hand. "Maybe this can go?" I looked at her, really looked, and something inside me snapped in the gentlest, calmest way possible. "No," I said simply, "that stays." Amanda blinked like I'd just spoken German. Then Daniel came downstairs, phone in hand. "Mom, about the housing conversation." "Not now," I said. "I have my own things to take care of today." It was a small sentence, but saying it felt like pushing a mountain off my chest. Amanda watched me walk to the door. "Where are you going?" "To see someone," I answered. And I stepped outside, not to escape them but to walk towards something new. Something I wasn't ready to name yet, but which had already started calling my name the moment I typed Monaco long-term rentals into that old laptop. 2 days after Amanda told me to find my own place, she decided to host what she called a family dinner. In Amanda language, family dinner meant I cook everything, she takes pictures of everything, and Daniel microwaves something for the kids while pretending that counts as helping. By 4 p.m., the kitchen looked like a battlefield where the enemy was olive oil. I was elbow-deep in garlic and roasting pans, trying to keep track of which dish went where, while Amanda floated around rearranging napkins like she was preparing for a Vogue photo shoot. "Could you make the chicken look happier?" she asked, frowning into her iPhone camera. "It's dead, Amanda," I replied. "This is as cheerful as poultry gets." She didn't laugh. Of course she didn't. By the time her friends arrived, 3 women who all spoke in the same high, breathy tone like they shared one pair of lungs, I already felt invisible. They walked in wearing matching tennis skirts and carrying identical tote bags that said "Blessed," as if they'd bought a personality bundle at Target. "Oh my gosh, Amanda, your home is gorgeous," one squealed. "Our home," Daniel corrected automatically, not even glancing at me. I carried the platter of chicken to the table, but one of the women giggled. "Ah, is she your cook? That's adorable." "I'm his mother," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Her face paled so fast I thought she might faint. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't." "It's fine," I said. "The chicken forgives you." The room laughed, awkwardly, but I saw Amanda's jaw tighten. I should have stayed silent. Good mothers, in her world, were background noise. Halfway through dinner, one of the women leaned over and said, "Amanda told us you've been having trouble managing the stairs. My mom moved into this lovely senior community, full-time staff, a heated pool, Pilates for older adults. Maybe you'd like it?" Amanda jumped in before I could answer. It would be so much easier for everyone. Everyone. They always said everyone. I swallowed hard enough to feel it in my spine. I walk just fine, I said. It's judgment I have trouble with. Even Daniel snorted at that one. Amanda shot him a glare that could sterilize a cutting board. After dessert, things somehow got worse. Amanda started talking about her dream renovation, the kind that cost more money than Daniel's salary liked to admit. We want to open up the living room, she told her friends. Maybe take out that old wall and replace the furniture. The chair in the corner is outdated. The chair Tom built with his own hands. That wall stays, I said before Daniel could respond. Amanda blinked. We're just trying to modernize. You don't modernize a memory, I replied. Her friends looked back and forth like they were watching Wimbledon. Then, because the universe likes comedic timing, one of the grandkids raced into the room, tripped on a stray Lego, and launched his juice box at the exact moment Amanda turned. It hit her yoga leggings with the precision of a military strike. She shrieked. Her friends gasped. Daniel froze. And me? I bit down so hard on my lip to keep from laughing that I tasted blood. Grandma's juice box rule. The little one shouted proudly. No drinks on Grandma's furniture, I nearly applauded. After they left, Amanda cornered Daniel in the kitchen, whisper yelling in a voice that somehow managed to be both quiet and piercing. This is why we need our own space. Your mother is impossible. We can't live like this. I stood in the hallway, hidden, my heart cracking along old lines. And then Daniel said it. The sentence that finally pushed my life into motion. She's not going to be around forever, Amanda. Just be patient. The words didn't cut me. They hollowed me. I walked back to my recliner, opened my laptop, and pulled up the email from the real estate agent who had replied earlier that day. We can schedule a discreet appraisal whenever you're ready. My hand hovered over the keyboard. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of leaving. I was afraid of staying. The morning after Amanda's disastrous family dinner, the house felt wrong in a way I couldn't quite name. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way Daniel avoided my eyes at breakfast. Or maybe it was the sticky orange stain still faintly visible on Amanda's leggings as she marched the kids out the door like a general leading troops into battle. I was washing a mug when I heard her whisper sharply to Daniel on the porch. I can't do this anymore. Either your mother moves out, or I will. It wasn't even a threat. It was a declaration. And Daniel said nothing. The mug slipped slightly in my hands. I didn't drop it, but the message was clear. If something was going to change, it had to be me. Around noon, I walked to Gloria's house. She opened the door wearing a t-shirt that said, "Retired but dangerous," holding an Amazon package like it might explode. "Finally," she said. "I thought you died from polite rage." "Not yet," I replied. "But I came close last night." We sat on her couch drinking lukewarm tea because Gloria claimed her electric kettle had opinions and refused to boil. I told her everything. Amanda forcing design trends onto my memories, the comment about me not being around forever, the way Daniel stood there like a beige lamp with no personality. Gloria listened, lips pursed, eyes blazing. "You know," she said, "my daughter once told me I should move to one of those luxury senior centers. I told her I would, but only if she came with me as my emotional support animal. I couldn't help it, I laughed. You're terrible." "Correct," she said proudly. "But listen, Margaret, there's no medal for suffering quietly. You deserve better than being treated like the world's oldest throw pillow." I sighed. "I know. I just don't know if I'm ready." "Ready for what?" she asked. "Living like a human being again?" Her words struck deeper than she realized. Back home, I found Amanda in the living room, kneeling on the carpet with a measuring tape, muttering to herself. "We could put a Peloton here, maybe knock out that wall, then this room will finally have flow." She didn't look up when I walked in, but she did gesture vaguely toward Tom's rocking chair, the one he'd carved initials into on the underside during our first winter. "That has to go," she said. "It makes the room look tired." "So do people who insult others before lunch," I replied. She froze. "Excuse me?" I walked past her and sat in the rocking chair, letting the wood creak beneath me. "This stays," I said. "The walls stay. And for now, I stay." Amanda stood up slowly, like she was rising from a grave she'd dug for me. "Daniel and I are trying to build a home, Margaret. You already have one, I said. You're standing in it. She made a noise halfway between a scoff and a snarl. I knew this would be difficult. You haven't begun to know difficult, I said calmly. For the first time since she moved in, Amanda actually seemed unsure, confused, as if she suddenly realized I wasn't a decorative houseplant she could relocate. Later that evening, Daniel finally approached me. Mom, please don't take what Amanda said too seriously. I take everything seriously, I replied. I'm 74. I don't buy green bananas. He rubbed his forehead. We're just stressed. The mortgage, the kids, her business. The mortgage is paid off? I reminded him gently. I paid it. He looked away, ashamed. Daniel, I said softly, when did you start believing your life only works if I disappear? He swallowed hard. That's not what I meant. Maybe not, I said, but it's what you acted. He opened his mouth, but then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, sighed, and walked away mid-conversation. That was the moment something inside me finally clicked into place. Not the sadness. I was used to that. Not the longing. I'd carried that for years. It was the clarity. The cold, clean clarity of a woman who realizes she doesn't need anyone to rescue her. Not her son, not her daughter-in-law, not even the ghost of the man she buried decades ago. I walked to the den, sat in my recliner, opened my old laptop, and replied to the real estate agent, I'm ready for the appraisal. Tomorrow works. My hand didn't shake. My breathing didn't stutter. For the first time in years, I wasn't apologizing for existing. The real estate agent arrived the next morning exactly at 9, a punctuality I deeply respected because at my age, being late is how you lose friends to naps. His name was Marcus, a tall man with shiny loafers and a Mont Blanc pen clipped to his folder like he was auditioning for a luxury commercial. Mrs. Cole, he greeted warmly. Yes, I said, but if you call me young lady, I'm canceling this whole thing. He laughed. Thank God. I didn't have the energy to deal with people who feared humor. We walked through the house together. Every room carried the weight of my life. Tom's woodworking tools still in the garage, Daniel's height marks on the pantry door, birthday candles tucked into the back of the junk drawer. Marcus took notes, snapped photos with his iPhone, and murmured approving things like, great bones. Original structure, rare. Fantastic neighborhood value. It should have comforted me. Instead, it felt like attending my own estate sale. Amanda floated in around 9:30, wearing her matching yoga set, the one that attempted to convince the world she was serene, spiritual, and not secretly powered by resentment. She froze when she saw Marcus. What's going on? We're doing an appraisal, I said casually, as if announcing I was reorganizing my sock drawer. Amanda looked at Daniel, who had just wandered down holding his MacBook like a security blanket. Did you know about this? She hissed. Daniel blinked, confused. Mom, are you selling the house? I shrugged. I'm exploring options. Amanda's voice pitched up half an octave. But we had plans. Yes, I said. Your Peloton dreams are safe elsewhere. Marcus coughed into his sleeve. Poor man was fighting for his life not to laugh. We moved into the living room for the final calculations. Marcus typed numbers into his tablet so quickly I thought he might burst into flames. Finally, he turned the screen toward me. Mrs. Cole, with the market right now, your home is valued at roughly $214 million. Amanda gasped. Daniel swayed like he'd been slapped with a wet towel. I simply nodded. That's higher than I expected. Inside me, something old and quiet lifted its head, a sliver of possibility. Amanda paced in tiny stressed-out circles. You can't sell, she burst out. Where will we go? What about the boys? Their school? Our life is here. So is mine, I said gently. Or it was. The room went still. Then Marcus asked, would you like to see some buyer interest projections? I also have contacts for relocation if you're considering a move. Relocation? Amanda squeaked. Where would she possibly go? I met Marcus's eyes. What's the furthest place from here that still has sunlight and decent health care? He didn't miss a beat. Monaco has excellent infrastructure. Amanda's jaw dislocated so dramatically I worried she'd need medical attention. Daniel stared at me as if I'd announced I planned to join a biker gang. Mom. Monaco, he whispered. I hear it's nice, I said. Sunny, peaceful. People mind their own business and no one throws juice boxes at grandmothers. Marcus checked his notes. I actually have a colleague who handles international transitions for retirees. He paused. I can connect you if you're serious. I swallowed. Was I serious? I thought of the recliner I slept in because no one offered help with the stairs. I thought of Amanda's voice telling me to move out. I thought of Daniel saying, "She won't be around forever." And then I thought of a place where no one saw me as an inconvenience. I straightened my shoulders. "Yes," I said. "I'd like that connection." Amanda made a noise like a deflating balloon. Daniel sat down on the arm of the couch and rubbed his face, overwhelmed. Marcus stood and extended his hand. "Then congratulations, Mrs. Cole. This is the start of something big." I shook his hand, feeling the truth of his words settle over me like warm sunlight. For the first time in decades, my life didn't feel like it was shrinking. It felt like it was about to expand. The day after the appraisal, the house vibrated with a kind of nervous energy, like everyone could sense something was shifting beneath their feet, but no one wanted to say it out loud. Daniel knocked on my door mid-morning. He didn't wait for me to answer before pushing it open, which told me exactly where I ranked on the privacy scale, somewhere between a Roomba and a houseplant. "Mom," he began, rubbing the back of his neck, "can we talk?" "Of course," I said, closing the Kindle I'd been reading. Gloria had lent me Women Who Run with the Wolves and insisted it would activate my feral era. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders rounded like the world was sitting on them. "About the appraisal?" "Yes?" He exhaled hard. "Are you really thinking about selling?" "I'm not thinking," I said. "I'm deciding." His head snapped up. For a moment he looked 10 years old again, the same boy who clung to my hand on the first day of school. But then the adult version took over, the one who'd learned to prioritize convenience over conscience. "Mom, we need this house," he said. "It's our home." "It was mine first," I replied gently. "For 50 years. That doesn't mean—" "It means everything." Before he could answer, Amanda swept in carrying a laptop and a stack of color-coded folders, like a walking Pinterest board drowning in spreadsheets. "Margaret, we need to go over some things," she said briskly. "If you're selling, we'll need to coordinate where we move. Schools, commute, daycare." "Wait," I interrupted. "You think you're moving with me?" Amanda blinked, hard. "Aren't you buying a new place for all of us?" I stared at her. "Why would I do that?" Her mouth opened and closed like a confused goldfish. "Well, because we can't just be homeless." "You have jobs," I said, "and 2 perfectly good adults can find housing." Her expression crumpled. "This is unbelievable." "It really is," I agreed. Amanda stormed out muttering something about ungrateful elders, and Daniel stayed behind looking like he wanted to sink through the floor. "Mom," he said quietly, "this is a lot." "So is being told to leave my own house," I answered. He swallowed. "That's not what Amanda meant." "It's exactly what she meant." His silence confirmed it. I felt a pang, not anger, just a tired sadness that settled in the ribs. "Daniel," I said softly, "you stopped seeing me as a person a long time ago. I became your safety net, your free childcare, your live-in cook, your—" "Mom, that's not fair." "Fair," I repeated, "is when everyone carries something, not when one person carries everything." He looked wounded, but he didn't deny it. That afternoon, I met Marcus and his colleague, Elena, a relocation specialist, at a cozy cafe downtown. The kind with Edison bulbs, overpriced croissants, and young professionals on MacBook Airs pretending to change the world. Elena greeted me warmly. "Mrs. Cole, Marcus told me you're exploring international relocation." Amanda's voice rang in my mind. Where would she possibly go? I smiled. "Monaco." Elena's eyes lit up. "Excellent choice. Wonderful healthcare. Safe, clean, sunlight almost year-round, and the expat community is very welcoming." "Do they welcome women who can't remember where they left their glasses?" I asked. Elena laughed. "Those are exactly the women they welcome." She opened her iPad, showing rental options, small but beautiful apartments overlooking the harbor. Pale stone balconies, white curtains, sunlight spilling across floors. For a second, my breath caught. I could see myself there, drinking morning tea by the window, walking by the marina, being a person again, not an obligation. Elena tapped the screen. "This one would be perfect for you." Amanda wouldn't survive 5 minutes here, I thought. "Let's move forward," I said. "Wonderful." Elena beamed. "I'll begin the paperwork." I felt something warm spread across my chest. Hope, or freedom, or both. When I got home, I found Amanda in the kitchen aggressively wiping a spotless counter, the universal sign of a woman losing control. She spun around. "So, did you do it? Did you sign something? Are we moving?" I set my purse down. You're not moving, I said calmly. I am. She stared at me like the Wi-Fi had gone out mid-Netflix finale. What? I'm relocating, I said slowly. To Monaco. Amanda's scream was so sharp the Alexa device in the corner lit up as if it needed medical assistance. Daniel ran in, wide-eyed. What happened? Your mother, Amanda wailed, is abandoning us for Europe. I raised an eyebrow. I prefer the term retiring overseas. Amanda flailed. You can't do this. Oh, I said, walking past her. I can. And for the first time, I believed it. The next 48 hours were a blur of emails, phone calls, and paperwork. Elena sent documents faster than I could misplace my reading glasses, and Marcus handled every legal form with the confidence of a man who'd sold more houses than I'd baked casseroles. Meanwhile, Amanda behaved like someone had unplugged her from her life support source, control. Every morning she hovered near me like a suspicious hummingbird. Are you sure this is legal? Yes. Are you sure you understand what you're doing? I'm 74, Amanda, not 7. Well, sometimes it's hard to tell. I smiled sweetly. Then blink twice if you're losing your mind. Daniel choked on his coffee. Amanda did not blink, twice or otherwise. On Wednesday afternoon, Marcus called. Mrs. Cole, the buyers want a final walkthrough tomorrow morning. If everything looks good, we can close early. I felt my lungs expand in a way they hadn't in years. Tomorrow works, I said. When I hung up, Amanda swooped into the room like she'd been waiting behind the corner for intel. What did he say? That the walkthrough is tomorrow. Her face drained. Walkthrough? What walkthrough? Why would anyone be walking through our house? Our, I repeated softly, and I let the silence sit there, heavy and honest. That night, I tried packing a few boxes. The first one contained old letters, photo albums, and the blanket Tom always stole from me during winter. I folded things carefully, like I was putting away pieces of myself. Then, because the universe loves comedic timing, I got stuck inside one of the cardboard boxes. Not in it, exactly. More like my arm went in too far, my balance went too forward, and suddenly gravity whispered, "Let me help you with that, sweetheart." I fell sideways into the box stack, sending 3 Amazon boxes crashing like dominoes. The noise brought Daniel running. Mom, are you okay? Yes, I grunted, trying to free my arm. I'm just rehearsing my gymnastics routine for Monaco. He pulled me up, and for a moment, we just stood there, him trying not to smile, me pretending I hadn't nearly been defeated by corrugated cardboard. Mom, are you really going? He asked quietly. Yes, he nodded slowly, and for the first time there wasn't anger in his eyes, just fear, and something that almost looked like love, buried under years of convenience. I don't want to lose you, he whispered. You're not losing me, I said gently. You're just losing a housekeeper. He laughed. Actually laughed, and leaned his forehead to mine like he used to when he was little. I'm sorry, he said, for a lot of things. I know, I whispered back, and that was enough. Not everything, but enough. The next morning arrived with a soft gray sky. Marcus came early, wearing a crisp shirt and holding a leather folder. Behind him, the buyers, a young couple from San Francisco, pulled up in a rented sedan, looking at the house like it was a dream they weren't sure they deserved. Amanda watched them from the window as if they were burglars. They can't just come in here, she hissed. They can, I said. Legally. Easily. Happily. When Marcus rang the doorbell, Amanda practically leapt to block it. Daniel gently moved her aside. Amanda, it's her house. Saying that out loud nearly made him combust, but he said it. Marcus introduced the buyers, who were polite and cheerful and, most importantly, not insulting. They loved the hardwood floors. They loved the big windows. They loved the tree Tom planted in the yard. Amanda followed them around like an angry ghost, whispering things like, the kitchen needs a remodel, and the neighbors can be elderly. Gloria poked her head out her window at that exact moment and yelled, I heard that. Amanda nearly swallowed her own tongue. After the walkthrough, Marcus closed his folder. Everything's approved, he said. We can finalize the sale this afternoon. Amanda spun toward me. You can't do this. You're throwing away our entire future. No, I said softly. I'm reclaiming mine. Daniel stared at me. His voice was small. Mom, where will you go? I smiled. Somewhere bright. And as they stood there in stunned silence, I realized something astonishing. For the first time in decades, I wasn't scared of what came next. I was excited. I didn't cry when I signed the papers. I thought I would. I thought selling the house where I'd built my entire life would rip something out of me. Instead, it felt like removing a sweater 2 sizes too small. Daniel hugged me so tightly at the airport I thought my ribs might become decorative items. Amanda, meanwhile, cried as if she were boarding the plane. "You're really abandoning us," she wailed. "I'm 74, I said. "I'm not joining the Navy." Then the flight attendant called boarding, and I stepped toward a future none of them had ever imagined for me. When the plane touched down in Nice, the Mediterranean sun hit me like it had been waiting years for my arrival. Warm, bright, unapologetically alive. I swear I heard it say, "Oh good, you made it." The airport was cleaner, quieter, calmer than any I'd ever been in. Or maybe I was just too stunned to notice chaos. I rolled my suitcase, dragged it. One wheel had a broken attitude, toward the exit. That's when disaster struck. I was reading a sign, trying to figure out whether sortie meant exit or caution, elderly woman approaching, when my suitcase veered sharply like a rebellious shopping cart, heading straight for a polished marbled pillar. I lunged for it. It lunged away from me. I lost my balance. My life did not flash before my eyes, but the marble did. Just as I braced myself to meet French architecture face first, a hand grabbed the suitcase handle. A strong one. And a voice behind me said, warm and amused, "Careful, Signora. Monaco has many surprises, but concussions are not our most popular attraction." I turned around and saw him. He looked to be early 50s, maybe 52. Sun-touched skin, dark hair sprinkled with silver in that annoyingly handsome way some men get as they age. A tailored shirt, sleeves rolled casually, sunglasses hooked at his collar. He smelled faintly of citrus and sea air. He smiled. And dear God, that smile. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I'm fine," I said. "Just auditioning for my own funeral." He laughed, a warm laugh that traveled all the way to his eyes. "My name is Luca," he said. "Do you need help getting to Monaco?" I hesitated, not because he seemed untrustworthy, but because handsome strangers offering assistance don't usually appear in the lives of tired American grandmothers unless we hallucinate them. "I'm Margaret," I said. "And yes, I'm easily confused by signage, gravity, and my own suitcase." "Then it is lucky," he said, "that I work with people who arrive from the US all the time. Come, I'll show you where to catch the shuttle." On the bus to Monaco, the view took my breath away. Blue water, white cliffs, hills dotted with pastel buildings. It felt like someone had turned up the saturation on life. Luca sat beside me, answering my nervous questions with patience and humor. "What if my apartment has stairs? We will carry you. What if I get lost? Then you will be found. What if I hate Monaco?" He smiled softly. "You won't." We arrived at the border, and suddenly the world changed. Everything looked elevated, polished but not cold, elegant without trying. I whispered, "It's beautiful," Luca chuckled. "Wait until you see it at sunset." When the bus stopped, he helped me with my suitcase again, this time on purpose. "Do you have someone meeting you?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "A rental agent. She's sending a car." "Good," he nodded. "But if you need anything, recommendations, help settling in, someone to explain why the bakery's closed for 3 hours at random, my office is by the marina." He handed me a small card. Not formal, not pushy, just sincere. "Welcome to Monaco, Margaret." I watched him walk away, sunlight catching on the silver in his hair, and something fluttered in my chest. Not fear, not anxiety, something else, possibility. For the first time in years, I felt like a woman again, one with a future, not just a past. My first week in Monaco felt like living inside a screensaver. Every morning, sunlight streamed through my balcony doors like it had an appointment with me. The sea glittered. The breeze smelled like lavender and money. My rental apartment was small but elegant. White curtains, pale stone floor, a tiny kitchen with an espresso machine that looked smarter than Amanda. For the first time in my adult life, no one called my name to cook, clean, or referee arguments about iPad screen time. It was almost frightening how quiet freedom sounded. On my third morning, I walked down to the marina with my tote bag and Kindle tucked inside. I'd read maybe 2 sentences of Atomic Habits. Gloria insisted it was the Bible of reinvention, when someone called my name. "Margaret," I turned. Luca was walking toward me, hair tousled by the wind, holding 2 croissants in a little paper bag. He looked annoyingly perfect for a man who was just existing. "You survived your first nights," he said. "Barely," I replied. I had to operate an espresso machine with more buttons than my old television remote. Ah, he nodded, the real test of strength. He sat beside me on a bench overlooking yachts the size of Amanda's ego. He handed me a croissant. Try, it will ruin all American pastries for you. He wasn't wrong. I nearly saw God. We talked about everything: New York, aging, his job managing a marina hospitality team, my new apartment where the dishwasher hummed like it was singing opera. He laughed often. I laughed more than I had in years. Then my phone buzzed. Daniel. The screen read, "Mom, we need to talk. Please answer." I stared at it until Luca gently said, "Family trouble?" You could say that. I slid the phone back into my tote bag. The sea was calmer than my thoughts. That evening, after a long walk along the promenade, I finally listened to Daniel's voice message. "Mom, I don't know what to do." He sounded exhausted, scared. Small. "Amanda's furious. The boys keep asking when you're coming back. We didn't plan for this, Mom. Rent is insane here, and school's God, everything is expensive. We can't even agree on where to live. Amanda wants Manhattan. I want something realistic. We're fighting more than ever." A long pause. "I think maybe we leaned on you too much." I did. "I'm sorry." Another pause. "I miss you." I sat very still. Monaco lights flickered across the balcony railing, reflecting on my glass of supermarket rosé. I expected to feel guilty. Mother guilt was practically part of my bloodstream, but instead, I felt something else. Sorrow. Yes, but also unmistakable clarity. They didn't miss me. They missed the structure I provided, the stability, the free labor, the years of holding everyone together like duct tape no one thanked. Still, he was my son, and the hurt in his voice was real. I set the phone down, breathing slowly. Mediterranean air was different. It forced you to feel everything honestly. The next day, as I walked to a small cafe near the marina, I spotted Luca again. He stood outside speaking Italian to a coworker, laughing, casual, hands moving as if conducting an invisible orchestra. He saw me instantly. "Good morning, Monaco's newest citizen." "I'm not a citizen," I said. "Just a confused American with a suitcase and emotional baggage." "We accept both," he smiled. We walked together toward the cafe. The air smelled like fresh bread and sunshine. Luca held the door for me, and for a moment I felt young. Not physically. The knees still had opinions, but emotionally, warmly, breathtakingly young. "Are you settling in?" he asked once we sat down. "I'm trying," I said honestly. He watched me with kind eyes. "You don't owe anyone the version of yourself that made you unhappy, Margaret." My throat tightened. I didn't know if he meant Daniel, or Amanda, or the life I kept shrinking to fit inside their expectations. Maybe all of it. Before I could answer, my phone chimed again. "Daniel, Mom, please. Amanda is saying things I don't want to repeat. I need you." Luca glanced at the screen, then at me. He didn't pry. He simply said, "You get to choose who you are now." And in that sunlight-filled cafe, surrounded by strangers who didn't know I had spent decades disappearing inside my own home, I finally believed him. 2 weeks passed in Monaco and I learned 3 important things. French elevators move slower than glaciers. Croissants here are made by angels who know temptation personally. Peace, real peace, feels like a warm hand on your back, not the absence of noise. I was sitting on my balcony one morning, sipping espresso from a tiny cup that made me feel 60% fancier than I actually was, when my phone buzzed again. "Daniel." I sighed and braced myself. "Mom, please call me. Things are bad. Amanda is furious. We need you." I stared at the message until the espresso went cold. Then another message came. "She opened your old desk drawer. She found the sale documents. She's accusing me of helping you leave. She says I ruined her life." I almost laughed. The irony was so sharp it could slice bread. A third message. "She maxed out 2 credit cards trying to put a down payment on a Manhattan condo. Now we're in serious trouble. I think she hid debt from me. I don't know what to do. Please, I need you." I pressed my hand to my forehead. Here it was, the collapse Amanda built with her own hands, and the guilt Daniel carried without knowing he'd picked it up. I typed back, "Daniel, I love you. I'm here for emotional support, but you and Amanda must face the consequences of your own decisions. I can't fix this for you." 3 dots blinked. "Then I understand. I'm sorry for everything, Mom. Really, I just miss you." I swallowed gently. He finally meant it. Later that afternoon, Luca found me near the marina, sitting on a bench watching the sun bounce off hundreds of yachts like liquid gold. You look thoughtful, he said. Is that code for you look like you're considering crime? I asked. He laughed. Maybe. I told him everything. Daniel's messages, Amanda's meltdown, the financial disaster waiting to explode. Luca listened quietly, his gaze steady and warm. When I finished, I said, "Part of me feels cruel, like I should go home and fix things." He shook his head. "You raised a man, you didn't raise a puppet. He must learn to stand without leaning on you." "I know, but he's my son." "And you are his mother," Luca said softly, "not his shield." The words settled into my chest like truth always does, slow, painful, undeniable. He added, gentler this time, "Do you know why older women here are admired? Respected? Because they don't beg to be needed, they choose to be valued." That hit somewhere deep. I exhaled. "Thank you." "Of course," he said. "Also, you look very beautiful today." I snorted. "I'm wearing orthopedic sandals." "Yes," he said, grinning. "And somehow they work." That evening, Daniel called. Not text, called. His voice was steadier. "Mom, I spoke with a lawyer. Turns out Amanda took out a secret personal loan in my name using our joint account information. It's fraud." My stomach tightened. "Daniel?" "I'm filing for separation," he said quietly. "I should have protected you, Mom. Instead, I let both of us get walked over." I didn't speak. I didn't have to. He finished softly. "I love you. I'm coming to visit soon." A pause. "And I'm proud of you." I pressed a hand to my heart after the call. Not from sadness, from something close to healing. A few days later, as I stood overlooking the harbor at sunset, Luca walked up beside me. "Beautiful evening," he said. "It is. Dinner?" he asked. "There's a place near the cliffs. Good wine, better views." I hesitated, not from fear but from disbelief. It had been so long since someone wanted me for something other than convenience. "Are you sure?" I asked, half teasing, half terrified. "I'm 74, I creak when I sit." He stepped closer. "And I am 53, he said simply, "and I creak when I wake up." Life is not asking for perfection, Margaret, just participation. A laugh escaped me, one full of surprise, relief, and maybe hope. I took his arm. "Then yes," I said, "dinner." We walked toward the glowing lights of Monaco, the air warm around us, the sea whispering against the shore. For the first time in decades, I didn't feel like a burden. I didn't feel invisible. I didn't feel old. I felt alive. And the life waiting ahead of me wasn't smaller than the one I'd left behind. It was bigger, brighter, and completely, finally, mine. The first time I realized Monaco had become home wasn't during a sunset or a stroll along the harbor. It was on an ordinary Tuesday morning when I opened my balcony doors and the warm sea breeze slipped in like a familiar friend. I stood there in my robe, holding a tiny espresso cup, watching boats drift lazily across the water. For the first time in decades, I felt no rush. No demands. No one calling my name. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that fills a person rather than empties them. A soft knock sounded on my door. It was Luca. He held a bouquet of small white flowers. Nothing extravagant, nothing trying to impress. Just simple, thoughtful beauty. "Good morning," he said. "These reminded me of you," I laughed. "Fragile and in need of sunlight." "Persistent," he corrected, "and thriving." We ate breakfast on my little balcony, fresh fruit, warm pastries, and a pot of tea. Luca talked about the marina, about a boat that came in from Sicily that looked like it had survived a fistfight with Poseidon. I told him about the book I was reading, about how strange it felt to have time. Real time. Time that belonged to me. Later, my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. "Mom, the boys drew pictures of Monaco for their school project. They miss you, and I'm proud of the woman you've become. I hope someday I can be half as brave. Love you." My eyes warmed. Not with sadness, but with that soft ache that comes from being understood at last. Luca watched me quietly. "Good news?" "Good healing," I said. He smiled. "Then we should celebrate. A walk by the cliffs?" I slipped my hand through his offered arm. Not out of need, out of choice. We walked along the coastline, the wind lifting my hair, the Mediterranean shimmering like it was painted in light. For the first time in my 74 years, my steps felt unhurried, my heart unburdened. I wasn't someone's mother. I wasn't someone's solution. I wasn't someone's afterthought. I was just Margaret, a woman who survived heartbreak, betrayal, and reinvention, and ended up somewhere brighter than she ever dreamed, somewhere she belonged. And as Luca's hand brushed mine, warm and steady, I realized something simple and profound. It's never too late to choose a life that loves you back.